Welcome, everyone, to the L7C Podcast Pop Culture Edition. Today, we are going to be talking about a very special topic with our pop culture expert, Miss Chelsea Hepburn. How are you doing today?
I'm freezing. It's winter and I'm not excited about it. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, you know what state you live in. You know it comes every year.
I just I if it could snow only during December for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then just like magically be back to summer and fall again, I would be happy. We can skip spring. I hate it.
Like, fair enough. Fair enough. Chelsea, what are we talking about today?
Lindsay Lohan.
So, what led to us talking about Miss Lindsay Lohan?
I feel like she's someone that we've talked about talking about for several years now. Not years, but like months, which honestly sometimes feel like years. But I don't know. I think like for me at least, she was kind of a pivotal actress in my childhood because we all kind of grew up with her, you know? So I think that's kind of and I one of the main things that spurred the real like let's do it now was her Christmas movie on Netflix,
Yeah,
Falling for Christmas.
Falling for Christmas was just came out on the 4th. Was it the 4th?
I think it was the seventh
This
actually.
the 7th. Both of us have seen that movie. What did you
Mhm.
think about the movie?
Lindsay carried it. She carried the whole movie. I uh, I like Christmas movies. Like they bring me joy, but this one, I just the writing could have been better, and some of the characters should have been written differently. I think. Like I don't know, Lindsay. She was. I think Cord Overstreet did a good job too. And then George Young, he was the one who played Tad. I think he played that character well, but I hated that character,
Well, that means he played
like
it well, that
personal.
you hated it.
I know, I don't know. And then for the movie only being what, an hour, hour and a half,
Hmm.
it felt like it kept going on and on and on and on. You
Yeah,
know,
I
that
agree.
was my beef with it. Cause like, and it's not Lindsay's fault. Like she did such a good job. Like she was engaged and like you could see her acting from when we were kids like come back and like you could tell that she was like excited about this role, but it was not for me.
Yeah, I think this movie just a typical like cookie cutter type thing. I guess the only wrinkle is like
Mm-hmm.
her losing like her memory and then like getting it back and then still being with whatchamacallit guy, Cord in the
Tab.
end. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think it was for what it was. I mean, I think she cared. I think the biggest importance of this movie, though, in regards to Lindsay, was this was her first movie in a long, like leading lady in a long time. And it's been a long journey for her to get back to this point. And once that's what we're mostly going to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
she,
What was the first movie
go
that you
ahead,
remember seeing her in?
Parent Trap,
What was the first movie that you Yeah, same. I was just gonna say that.
Parent Trap. Yeah, Parent Trap.
Iconic.
Oh, yeah, it was. It was a very like iconic movie in the fact like, oh, who is this girl? Like, oh, like she's like witty and like charming
Mm-hmm.
and all of that stuff. And then that obviously launched her forward throughout like her career. And then I mean she was in that movie Life Size with Tyra Banks and like Get a
Oh.
Clue, Freaky Friday. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously the one her most iconic role to the masses was in Mean Girls.
Oh, for sure. That movie will stand the test of time. Like, even as things age on it that aren't the best, that movie will go down as one of like our generation's top movies for sure, without a doubt. Because it was so influential, and she killed it. Like, she did such a good job.
Yeah, it's a generational movie. Like it's has
Mm-hmm.
generational impact. I mean, even people who have never seen the movie or seen the movie once know the meme of it's October 3rd. Like
No,
that's how big a
very.
movie that movie still is to this day. Like it's a cult classic. Like that one really established Lindsay Lohan. Like I'm here. I'm one of the top teen stars on the planet at this point in time. And then she also had Confession of a Teenage Drama Queen. She made music, but like that 2004, that's when Lindsay like established she was here.
Yeah. And like Freaky Friday had come out in 2003, and I think that was another perfect stepping stone
Mm-hmm.
with Jamie Lee Curtis, because it's hard enough to act like a character, but it's hard enough to act like a character who's played by another actor, you know?
Yeah.
Because you have to get the mannerisms right. Like, she was playing her mom, like, but she was playing Jamie Lee Curtis, but as herself. Like, you have to get those mannerisms, and you have to understand like the way that the other person acts and operates. I think that really showed some of her acting chops. It's a cute movie, like it's not a serious movie by any means, um but like to do that is insane.
And also for like people who don't, I mean, that's what the Chris Brown Little Dicky song is based off of. Freaky Friday, literally off that movie and the concept.
Yeah, don't like Chris Brown, but I like that song.
That's a whole different topic for a different different day. But back in like 2007, which is crazy to say how long ago that really is, that's when it started going down for
Yeah.
Lindsay. She got that DUI and she checked into
Mm-hmm.
rehab. 2007, was that also the same year Britney gotten like her stuff started too?
um it was pretty close, because Brit was closer to 2008, I think, but Lindsay was like peak 2007, because it was Lindsay, Brittany, and Paris. They were partying together all the time and like being young, because in 2007, God, she's what,
He's not that much
36 right
older,
now?
which is crazy because like when you watch her, like when you're little, you think she's like that much older than you. Then when you look at her age, you're like, she's not that much older
Yeah,
than us.
right? Like, not at all.
So,
Um, but
mhm,
like 2007 was also the year that she was filming Georgia Rule. Like, it came out that year.
yeah,
And that is, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie,
mm-mm.
but it's a really, really, really good movie. I would highly recommend it. It has Felicity Huffman and then Jane Fonda, and while Lindsay was going through like her personal stuff, that was affecting this movie so much so that at one point, like, the director almost kicked her out of the movie.
that makes that
I
makes
don't know if you like,
sense.
yeah, because she delayed production time. She would show up on set allegedly like just hungover, and then the director or the CEO had received a warning letter from the production company, and in it was leaked, and it was just talking about like Lindsay's partying, her behavior, and like called her unprofessional, irresponsible, and like a spoiled child, X, Y, and Z. And that kind of honestly led to a lot more. Like, I think that critique and that leak led to her getting blacklisted almost from good movies, because she didn't have movies after that for a while.
Yeah, because even just after that DUI, later in that same summer, she got caught for possession of cocaine, which isn't good. That's a felony. Driving under the influence, driving with a
Mm-hmm.
suspended license, also just Side note for well, this is obviously 2007, so like Uber and Lyft didn't exist, but they're still like taxis, and you're so rich you can buy a chauffeur. I still will never understand how rich
Oh yeah,
people get suspended license
get to
charges like
I
that.
know it
That's
boggles my
terrible,
mind.
terrible. So when you
It,
to go with
yeah,
your
like
thing though, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like if you're gonna drink and do coke, like that's fine, but don't drive. Like don't be a
Mm,
dingbat.
yeah, I mean for rich people because obviously like
For rich,
because
for the average person, I'm not advocating people to do that, but
yeah,
for rich
because
people,
yeah, rich people who can afford good attorneys. Because the normal person, if you do coke, you're and you get caught, your life is almost over because you're gonna be done.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
like best of luck. Don't do it. But besides the point, let's get back to Lindsay.
yeah. So I mean, she was sentenced for a day in jail, ordered complete alcohol education program, community service, put on probation. From seeing that sentence, that's literally because she is rich and had a good lawyer. Because normal people, they would probably have more days in jail, and all the other stuff would be the same. I had to serve 84
Mm-hmm.
minutes. So that goes to your thing. Like, if I'm a producer or I'm a director and I'm paying Lindsay 5, 8, $10 million to be a star in my movie, and I have to worry about you can't be here this long because you have to go meet your probation officer and like all this stuff. I get
Yep.
how you get pissed and that would affect your movie.
Mm-hmm. And then I also like I hate saying this because like work and life should be separate, but when you're a celebrity, like you are your work and
Yep.
your work is you almost.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's the perception because what you're doing in that moment is automatically going to be linked to whatever project you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's a good or a bad, like for who you are. If you're out partying and you're on tour because you're a musician, it's going to be associated with that. Like just like how she was out partying and like doing all this stuff, it was associated with the movie, which then leads to more speculation and drama. And
No,
I think that's a hard thing to learn, especially when you're a young actor or a young celebrity too.
that's where I think not just even for her, but just anyone in general. That's why the people you roll with are so important, especially for rich people. Because she
Mm-hmm.
even talked about in an interview, like when the cocaine incident, she was running with people she was not supposed to be running with. They were bad influences. And you got to
Yep.
realize at that point, you
And
have more to lose than they do. So,
exactly.
you know, just
100%. And to that point, and I think like if she was a child star now and went through this stuff, I think it would be totally different, mainly because there's a lot more laws and protections in place with like young celebrities with their parents and what type of decisions they have to make slash go through. Because her family, her dad in particular, is not the best human being in the whole world, and that had like a huge hand in it as well, like in terms of guiding her, and like both her parents didn't really advocate for Lindsay.
yeah. I mean, I'm looking at her mugshot right now because in 2010, because she was on probation for a couple of years, she missed a mandate.
Mm-hmm.
And just word of advice for people: don't ever when your PO or whoever just says mandatory, they really mean mandatory. So she missed
Oh
that.
yeah.
Had to do 90 days in jail, 90 days of rehab. She was able to get out early, but like
Mm-hmm.
that's literally if you go from 2004 was Mean Girls, 2007's her first charge, and then like 2010, you go a long. It's not till like 2014 she even tries to do anything of media thing, and she was advised by your best friend Oprah to do that 8-part docu-series Lindsay to try and like change the narrative, and that didn't really work because she didn't get like a big job for still years.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also watching parts of that interview, it's bad. Like
Her team did not do her justice at all.
her team did not do her justice, but also like Oprah didn't do her justice.
That's your
Like
best friend.
I respect the power and the brand that Oprah has created for herself. Like that, she is a very smart person, but I do not like the way like that she interviewed back in the day, and I don't like the way that she treated like young celebrities, because if you watch certain parts of Lindsay's interview, like it was just she would interrupt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She It was very leading, but not in a positive way. And honestly, like Oprah wasn't educated on some of the topics that they were talking about, which then didn't translate well with paparazzi and tabloids back in the day because no one checked anything. So when they were talking about drugs, cocaine in particular, Oprah like asked, "Did you inject it?" And then like went on that whole trail,
Mm-hmm.
which then leads to bigger speculations. And it's like you can ask like Oprah didn't help, I don't think.
Yeah.
And she like I hate that you, because Oprah like almost brings Lindsay up and then will crush her. Like, "Oh, you're doing so well, but how many times did you do coke? Like, are you on anything now? Okay, what's your next role going to be? Why were you arrested?" Like there wasn't a set trajectory. Like it should have followed a different format, and I don't think the way that Oprah handled it was okay either.
Well, neither did Lindsay, because after that, for people who don't know, Lindsay left the United States. Like she was living in
Yeah.
like Greece and Dubai because she just said, F everyone here. I'm gonna go to Greece, make some nightclubs, which were actually very all successful. So like she left the
Yeah,
state.
every single one of
Yeah, every single one. She didn't move back until 2 years ago.
them. Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
what you know. You're like, hmm.
She removed herself from the narrative. Like she said bye. And I don't blame her. Like when you look at how tabloids were allowed to act in the 2000s, like it was wild. They would just chase people
That's
and like harass and put so many lives in danger because of it. Like it doesn't make sense.
That's true. But now I'm almost feeling to the point where at least in this day and age, at least they were the only ones. Now you have
Yeah.
randos who have verified checks on their Instagram and Twitters and Snapchats and TikToks who are now media reporters, literally sometimes just posting lies. But since they're have a mass following and people believe it, then now, at least back then, Lindsay and them just didn't see like 5 billion tweets about how shitty a person she was or is. Now it's you type in your name, you can check a whole thread on TikTok about people making fun of your that cocaine use or like any of that stuff. So in those cases, it got worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just wild. And I feel bad for her in that. And it's interesting that she did take the approach to remove herself like completely, just because like other stars who went through that, like they just kept on trying through and they might have disappeared, but they were still doing things. And Lindsay, she was just minding her own business.
Yeah.
Like you did not hear from her. She barely posted anything on Instagram, like when that became a thing. She just was off in her world doing what she wanted. And she would do like a few random projects here and there. Oh God, what was the movie? It was with James Dean, I want to say, the porn star, before his like accusations and drama came out. The Canyons? Does that sound familiar?
Sounds a little bit. I know she had like a little like MTV show for like 2 seconds that was all filmed in Greece because she was in Greece. And it was only like one season in like 2019 and like her coming back because her sister apparently has a music career. I've never heard any of her sister's music. Have you?
I have not know that she has one, but I have not heard anything.
Um,
Okay, so it was The Canyons. It came out in 2013. And I
okay.
feel like that was kind of the first time that the public kind of heard from her in a while. But it was quote unquote trashy. Like the Rotten Tomatoes view literally says Lindsay Lohan continues to flush her career down the toilet with the trashy exploitation film. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
So
I
like
mean, that
even the
was
project,
bad. That's bad.
yeah, that is bad. Um, so even the projects that she was being offered, like they weren't the best at all, and that's sad. But she's so talented.
I agree. I agree. Like that span from literally from 2007 to like 2020, like with the all the jail stuff, the charges, her being leaving the states, like, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
reading literally a quote that said "flush your career down the toilet." She was out of sight, out of mind, and you said earlier that people were just like, "I'm not going to hire Lindsay Lohan again." Like for what? Like it's not gonna do anything for me. I remember the first time seeing her in a Planet Fitness commercial, and I'm like, "Oh shit, Lindsay Lohan's back."
Right, and like, oh, there there's this dance that she did at like one of her clubs where she was just like vibing,
Mm-hmm.
and that like viral. And I still kind of want to learn how to do it, so it was fun. But like, I think that was also one of the first times that like she popped back up because some people were like, "Oh, why is Lindsay at a club?" And then they were like, "Oh, she owns it."
Mm-hmm.
Like that makes sense. And then it just kind of went from there. And then slowly she like reintroduced herself. But like the Christmas movie, I think was the biggest project that she's done in a very,
Yes,
very long time.
one hundred
And while
percent.
I don't like the movie, her PR and her like Instagram feed, like stories, magazine covers have been like top tier. So kudos to whoever is running that because all of her app choices have been stunning. She's revisiting like her roots. Like she is shining in this moment. And I think it's so wonderful to see.
100%. Because like we've already talked about earlier, that movie came out. She also has a two movie deal, I think, with Netflix. So that is a big. That's her biggest thing, like mainstream United States that she's had literally since 2007. So for her
Mm-hmm.
to work on herself, climb all the way back, and really not even with like the fanfare as others who are like, oh, obviously like Free Britney or like something like that. Lindsay didn't have like an omega big fanfare saying we need to get Lindsay Lohan more jobs,
Mm-hmm.
but she did it. I mean, she actually is a very good example of like being at the top, then hitting all the way rock bottom, and then working on yourself to get back to the top. Well, hopefully back to the top.
Oh yeah. Like and she looks so good. Like you can just tell that she's happy and healthy. And I think
Oh,
that's the most important. But
yeah.
even creeping on her Instagram now, like it's so well curated. It's not even and she doesn't post that much. Like she truly doesn't, which is insane for a celebrity. It's crazy.
If you look at her pictures from 2010 and 2014, and then you look at her pictures in
Mm-hmm.
2022, it's a completely different woman.
It is a completely different woman. I agree with that.
It's
And
crazy.
you know what's interesting
So
too? Because and this is part of the reason what did too. I think our initial conversations was on March 1st in 2022. So like all the way back when I think that was when we first saw the post where she struck the two picture deal with Netflix, and then
mm-hmm.
it just kind of went quiet until they really started pushing this movie. So even from March until now, like she still stayed pretty off the map. Like there wasn't that much promo.
Crazy. It's crazy. Like, yeah, because March to November, that's spring and summer and fall. Just all
Yeah. Yeah. Like her first post about the movie truly is October 3rd. She said, it's October 3rd. Now mark your calendars for November 10th. And then it has the movie cover.
yeah. I am surprised. Well, I guess it would be for the sense that because it's still around, it would be around the same time. Brittany is older than Lindsay, but I
Yep.
do feel like if Lindsay would have had kids, they would have been potentially looking at the conservatorship route.
Mm,
Because Brittany never had to go to jail. Like she just had to she
yeah.
checked in the rehab. Like Lindsay had like real like time she was having to do. And
Charge.
if those kept adding up, it's like then her parents got divorced, so then all of
Yeah.
that happened. So
Well, and then her dad in particular is also alcoholic, or I shouldn't say is also, but he is an alcoholic. And him and his new wife, they actually lost custody of like their kids. So he has his own problems, which like Brittany's parents also had problems. Like her dad obviously like gambled and is a horrible human being too, but not to the extreme in terms of like law breaking as what Michael Lohan was up to. So I don't know, even if she has, I don't know that they would have been able to go to like the conservatory like ship route because Britney's case was so unprecedented. And then the next celebrity one truly would be Amanda Bynes.
yep.
And that wasn't until a few years ago. Like it's not like they were throwing out these willy-nilly with celebs.
Yeah, I mean they've all like not all of them, but you see them some of them who when they get hit really hard and there's sometimes no
Mm-hmm.
bouncing back from that. Like there was someone, I don't know if this is including her nightclub stuff, which I doubt, but they were saying at the time when Lindsay came back, like her net worth was only like $1 million, which is wild to think that Lindsay Lohan would be only worth $1 million when other celebrities, when she was making that in her sleep.
Correct.
But then again, court costs are expensive,
Correct.
especially when you have a really good lawyer.
Oh yeah. And I mean, fueling your parents' lifestyles and habits is also expensive.
Yeah. So
Which is just a shame. Because I mean, with her music career, she even released a song about her death, like just talking about that relationship. So it was very much like a public, turbulent, like you're destroying the family and I have to take care of this type of a message, you know?
yeah. No, agree. But she's back now. I mean, we'll see what the next Netflix movie is, and then hopefully Netflix continues a partnership with her, and other people continue partnerships with her, and
I
then
know.
she's back in the spotlight.
I honestly, if she can land HBO like for anything, I think she'll be good. I think she'll be back. Like if I haven't seen the second season of White Lotus yet. But just based off of the first one, I think she could be in that. Like something like that type of a show, I think would be a huge step for her. And I also feel very, very strongly that she needs to release new music because I loved her music. Like her voice is so good.
There's a whole generation of people from literally the time she was gone, 2007 to 2020, who don't even know she made music.
Okay, well, she did. She made bops. Like Rumors, are you kidding me? Everyone listened to Rumors. Every single person listened to Rumors. And if you didn't, you need to. Like, oh,
You heard it here first. Everyone go listen to Rumors.
Everyone. And Drama Queen from Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen.
That is an iconic song.
It is. And Ultimate from Freaky Friday. I'm on my Spotify looking at it right now. Like, so good. And it's not like she released a lot. She truly didn't. But my goodness, she was talented back in the day. I mean, she still is talented. But
now she's back.
now I want to have like a Lindsay Lohan listening moment. Just to listen to her music.
Fair enough. Chelsea, any?
Also, it's that time of year too.
For what?
To like do the Me Girls holiday dance.
Oh Jesus! You have fun. You have fun doing that. You gonna do it at work?
You know what? Tis the season, and we are decorating some things yesterday and today in the freezing cold, which is part of the reason why I'm so upset. And we were listening to like Christmas gangster playlists on Pandora, and there were some dancing moments and people in surrounding buildings because we're in a public area just watching. So that's really great.
Did you make a logo yet?
But we have
saying it's almost the end of the year. You need a logo.
I don't have a logo.
You have to figure that out. Just put some things together and put it in a square.
I'm not creative.
Half your job, you have to use your creative brain.
Yeah, but for like, I don't know, not for that. I have a marketing team who does things for me.
Well, you better figure out a marketing team to make your logo here. You're about to go into 2023. They're going to need to be like, they need that logo. Like, who's that? Like, pod? It's Chelsea.
Who's that girl? Yeah. It's Jess.
Exactly. But anything else on Miss Lohan?
I don't know. If I could pull off red hair and never have to worry about it fading like hers, I absolutely die mine to look like her. It's so pretty. I don't know. I'm just excited that she's back, and I hope we get the second movie sooner rather than later of what she's doing with Netflix. And I will say, I hope it's not a holiday movie. I hope it's like a movie with a better plot and better supporting actors and characters.
All right. I agree with that. Okay. Well, with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe wherever you listen. We appreciate the support. Thank you, Chelsea, for being the pop culture expert of the podcast. And Chelsea said at the beginning that it's cold outside, so make sure you try and stay warm wherever you're listening. So with that being said, it's the L7C pod. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, stay warm and drink hot chocolate.
What a nice. So you see, this is what we have over here. We have a nice pop culture expert just telling you to get some hot chocolate too. Crazy. With that